Have you ever wondered why starting a task feels like lifting a mountain? Feels like we are forced to do something against our will. So we do just about anything to avoid the task at hand, only to find ourselves lost in a sea of distractions. We all have been there, and trust me, procrastination is something that affects all of us. In fact, when psychologists conducted research in the United States, they discovered that around 20% of US adults are chronic procrastinators. That's a higher percentage than people who are diagnosed with clinical depression or phobias. So why do we procrastinate, even when we know that the tasks we are putting off are actually quite important? Well, it turns out that we often don't consider procrastination as a serious problem. We think we are just being lazy or killing time. But in reality, the root cause of emotions we feel before procrastinating all comes down to one simple thing: the wiring of our brain. Let me explain. Procrastination is a result of constant battle in our brain between limbic system and the prefrontal cortex. Limbic system is the most dominant part of our brain, which activates automatic response when you feel hunger, pain, and fear. The prefrontal cortex, on the other hand, is less developed portion but helps us in planning and controlling our impulses and urges. And since the limbic system is much stronger, it often wins the battle, leading us to procrastination. Because our brain is designed to focus on tasks that provides immediate rewards, such as eating tasty food, watching satisfying videos, or socializing with others. These activities release dopamine, making it easy for us to lose track of time. It's basically our brain saying, I would rather feel good now, so we delay this task despite the negative consequences. When you're working on a long-term project or studying for an exam, your brain might not register them as valuable enough because there is no immediate reward, so it might not provide the necessary motivation to start or complete them. Another reason for procrastination is impulsive behavior. People who act without thinking, such as quitting their job or spending all their savings on an impulsive purchase. This makes them anxious and frustrated in stressful situations. At the same time, they create a task activation barrier in the brain. The higher the feeling of discomfort, the higher the barrier. This clearly means weaker prefrontal cortex with high impulsive behavior results in procrastinating brain. In addition, the environment we are in also plays a big role in whether or not someone procrastinates. If a person with a weaker prefrontal cortex works in a quiet and supportive environment, they may be able to overcome their procrastination and complete the task on time. On the other hand, if a person with a stronger prefrontal cortex works in a noisy and chaotic environment, they will struggle to concentrate and may end up procrastinating. If we compare our life to our ancestors, they lived in a world with fewer distractions because they knew that not completing necessary tasks, such as hunting or gathering food, will have more immediate consequences. This provided them a stronger motivation to avoid procrastination and focus on the task at hand. Now that we understand the science behind procrastination, let's understand how to stop it. The good news is that we can overcome procrastination by strengthening our prefrontal cortex. It begins with doing things as simple as getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Studies shows that it improves prefrontal cortex function and reduces our impulsiveness. Similarly, just by doing 10 minutes meditation, exercising regularly, and eating nutrient-rich diet increases the thickness of the prefrontal cortex, which improves blood flow to the brain and help us distract less. But deep down, we know this is easier said than done. So how do we actually stay on track? One effective way is by not setting vague goals. For example, if you want to start exercising regularly, instead of setting a vague goal like get in shape, set a more concrete goal such as exercise for 30 minutes a day and 3 times a week. This will give you a sense of progress as you complete each step. Likewise, if you have a large project due at school or work, you can also try Pomodoro technique. First, select a task to work on. Set a timer for 25 minutes. Work until the timer rings, then take a 5-minute break. Repeat this process for 4 times, then take a longer break of 15 to 30 minutes. This basically satisfies our brain's search for dopamine and help us stay focused when we return to our work. To sum up, procrastination is a common struggle that many of us face. By practicing self-control and using strategies to stay focused, we can overcome procrastination and achieve our full potential. Because let's face it, you can't get much done in life if you only work on the days when you feel good.